My first question is going to be, it'll pick everything up,
Yeah.
as long as there's not too many loud conversations. My first question is going to be what have you been doing in the past 1.5 years? Yeah, just give me a rundown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I actually studied abroad at Seoul National University for fall semester. And then I was there for a semester, and then since I'm a German major, I did the next semester in Germany. And it was funny, I actually wound up speaking a bunch of Korean in Germany because it was easier to meet other exchange students. So when I was in Korea, all the Korean students were really busy, so I went thinking I'm going to make a bunch of Korean friends and I'm going to do a bunch of language exchange. But I wasn't really in class with a lot of Korean students because I was taking a Korean class, a class in English, and I took one Korean history class in Korean, but no one talks to each other. So
really?
It would have been, I think anyone would have been happy if I walked up to them and said, "Hi, can I study with you?" They probably would have been really nice about it, but in Korean culture, you don't really talk to strangers that often. I noticed no one else was really talking to each other. So in that way, I was like, okay, I'll just sit here and do that.
Got it. But it was a history class that was taught in Korean and had other Korean students in it, but it was just not social.
Yeah, not so. It was more, because I think it's very Asian style, teaching where the teacher talks. And there are lectures here that are like that, that aren't very discussion based. And so he just talked, people asked questions, and it was really funny because the professor he's older, he's using really formal Korean, a lot of Chinese character based stuff, and then historical language too, so I only understood 20-30% of the lecture, but then the students would ask questions and I had no idea where their tangents went off to because they mumble. A lot of boys, I still can't understand Korean guys when they talk as much because my teachers were always women and the friends that I make tend to be girls as well, so if a guy has a too deep rumbly of a voice, they mumble too.
Yeah.
So I can't, I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna make my own notes for a while, and but luckily that textbook was available in English as well. And he had a very good textbook. So I read the English textbook, then went through the Korean one and underlined everything I needed. So that when I took the exam, which was written questions, I could figure out how to build my sentences off of that.
Wow.
But
that
that's basically all I did that semester, and I had to write an essay in Korean for that as well about what did I talk about? It was comparing German history education to Japanese history education, and it was fun to research and write in English, and then I was like, okay, here we go. And then I sent it to all of my Korean friends that I had some time. I'm like, can you just look at it a little bit, and then I'll get other people to look at it a little bit. And
Wow. So
that was really crazy.
Wow. Okay. And so that was you said you were in Korea for that fall semester. So it was a whole semester.
Yeah.
And then what else were you? You were in a Korean class with other international students?
Yeah, so it was other exchange or international students, and so it includes some Korean Americans. But that class, I was disappointed in it. I've had some great German classes at the UW, and the Korean classes I took at the language school in Korea were really good and really conversation-based. Right. But this language class wasn't very much the teacher would just talk at us. She was very quiet. There was no syllabus. Didn't really understand the structure of the class because she didn't really have a textbook either. It was, I think, the basic point was to learn how to make good paragraphs and because the sentence structure and how you make an argument is different in every language, right? So I think it was based in that, and so if she teach us paragraph structures, but in this really high up kind of way that we were all okay. Did
you test into that class? It was one of the higher level classes, and so do you think that's why it was different than a conventional language class?
I started the first day, I went to this one lower under it because I just was okay, maybe this one's for native Korean American students who are more heritage speakers that know stuff. So I went to the one under, and I went to that and was taking the test on the first day. I was no, this is too easy. And then I had people in that class too that still said they couldn't really tell what was going on and how to learn Korean in that class. So I was disappointed because I've had great experiences with some Korean classes in the past, but was kind of going through the motions for that one.
Yeah, and did you socialize with some of the students in that class, and did they have the same feelings, or what was the consensus?
It was a morning class, and everyone kind of came in, was really tired. She talked to us, and then we left because there wasn't a part. I think like most language classes I have, they have some component of talk about your weekend. Okay, let's start class. You know, just to have a slight conversation, but none of that.
Really?
And I was friends with a couple girls in that class, and they stopped showing up.
Oh, wow.
Because it was not, they didn't get anything out of it. And there were Korean Americans living in Texas, and like, they didn't know enough formal Korean, but they could speak it really fine with like friends and stuff, but then once it came to written stuff and really big vocabulary, they were like, what is, I have no idea, or they couldn't write anything. So we wound up learning like some really basic concepts like patim and like,
okay, yeah.
Like,
that's literally like first year Korean.
Part of our test, like the midterm was and it was Kogup. It was like the highest level, and it was because probably of this good section of Korean Americans who have still issues with writing. But I was like, really?
But yeah.
And it was this interesting mix of like really complicated, like reading articles with really complicated Korean answering questions about that, while also. And
then, yeah, friends. What else did you do in that semester in Korea? Like you had your 2 classes, but what else did you do in your life?
Let's see. Well, I didn't take that. I only took 3 classes, which was only like 12 UW credits. So I'm just barely full-time status because I wanted to study for the proficiency test in my free time. So I was able
topic?
I was able to take that. It was on when I went, and it was stressful to like have to go to Busan for that because everything in Seoul filled up really quickly.
Oh, really?
So I had to go.
You have to go from Seoul to Busan to take the
like a nice, excuse to go to Busan. But then I was like, okay, I got to go back to school after the weekend's over. What else did I?
Oh, so what was your 3rd class?
It was a class on Brazilian history, taught by an American in English in Korea, which was really a fun, interesting experience, but not related to.
It was in English all the time, and you spoke to others.
Yeah, only in English. Because most of us were also exchange international students as well.
Okay. Cool. Did you make any friends or have any relationships or speak Korean with anybody on a regular basis?
Yeah, SNU has a pretty good buddy program. Okay. So they meet you up with like each Korean student has like 3 international students, and then you're in a group with 10 of the buddies, and then 50 international students, and there's like 10 of those groups.
Okay.
So it's like 500 people individually, and they have events, and like weekly we'd go out to the pub and things like that. I had like a couple friends that I was able to talk to, but then it was always awkward because I was really surprised that so many of the international exchange students like had no Korean knowledge whatsoever. So I feel really obnoxious if I went to sit next to my Korean friend who's talking to other Americans or other Europeans, and I'd be like, let's speak in Korean now, bye guys. You know, I didn't want to feel like.
So the buddy program, do you think it was more of like making friends and speaking in English?
Yeah, it was not a language.
Not a language buddy program, not a language partner program.
They did have like a branch of it where they brought in others because there were students who applied for this program and it was a special thing. And then they brought it to the rest of the school where people could sign up. And I met some language partners through that as well, and that was better. But then everybody got really busy and I wasn't able to meet them consistently every week. But I did meet some people from that I was able to practice with as well. And then I was confident enough by that point that it was like 80% Korean, 20% English, because I'm able to be like, once you start in one language, it's hard to switch to the other one.
Sure. That's great. So you did have language partners, but not maybe the whole time?
Yeah.
Just some like at the beginning, or?
Yeah, it started really great at the beginning, and then these 4 students they're taking a full course load, and then they disappeared, and then they'd be like, hey!
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just make it.
And then I think the first 2 months, I dated someone. And it was a pretty good, like, 50-50. His English was really good because he worked with the American military, so his English was good enough.
Yeah, sure. They have to take some sort of proficiency.
Yeah, he got into that specific branch where he practiced a lot and stuff. So he did, thanks to him, I did learn a lot. He brought me places, and like I went explored more of Seoul than I had ever done when I was studying over the summers there. Yeah. But not a great experience in the end.
Sure, that's fine. So, and you said that was just the first part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. A whole fall semester.
Yeah.
So what do you think was the most you talked Korean or wrote Korean at that time? Was that for the history class that you were taking that was in Korean?
I think the most Korean growth I did in